First of all, I'm a musician, and my favorite music is electronic music. And the most common sense of presenting that music in front of an audience is the DJ. Berlin is a town where electronic music started as a subculture, as something against the established cultural movement. Definitely inspired by dirty basement clubbing atmosphere, because this is how I grew up. You know, this is where the clubs were. This is where the music happened. Taking all the influences I have, all the experiences, and translating it into music. It's not just basic emotions. It's like, you know, it's like the drive of my life. Come on. Berlin probably would be miserable but happy, poor but rich on inner thoughts, and very twisted. I'm an East Berliner, living in West Berlin and living quite an international life apparently. New York is a big metropolitan city, and Berlin is a big metropolitan city in the making. With Berlin, it's always this kind of like twisted love and hate relationship. I think we should all like, you know, look at this place and say it's beautiful. That's one of our sites. The TV tower from East Berlin. This is the East Berlin Center. Then this section you see here, behind this beautiful old building in front, this is all new. This is where no man's land used to be. Basically a big wide open field just with mines and border control stuff. And they erected the whole thing in a matter of 4 or 5 years. It's a complete new city center. See that little sort of glassy top on there? It's actually done by a bread. Mr. Foster. Horrible things came out of this city. And it's never forgotten. And it's never actually been pushed to the side. It's just obviously taking that, everything we learned from the history, and doing something positive with what we learned. This used to be the Palast der Republik, the prestigious building of the East German government. And as you can see, they're knocking it down to reconstruct the old Berlin castle, which was there, then completely destroyed in the World War. And the communists put this up. And now they're taking it down. Makes sense to, you know, remember the past and also the negative things of the past. At the same time, Berlin also stands for the future. And I think by having a modern version of the old castle here, it represents the connection to the past with the future. There's still quite a distinctive difference between the West and the East, not just because of architecture and stuff like this or the structure of the city, also the mentality of the people somehow. I believe like a lot of East Berliners still feel like East Berliners and West Berliners likewise. At the time when obviously Checkpoint Charlie became really famous, when American tanks and Russian tanks stood basically a meter away from each other, just waiting for the first person to make a mistake. With me growing up in East Germany, I grew up in a society that wasn't really a democracy. This is where I grew up, and it looks much prettier now, you know. It's nice, painted, and there were like shooting holes in the building back then. Because they used that area to actually shoot old propaganda movies. Even though it was illegal, I was listening to West Berlin radio stations. This is how my musical education came along. It was purely through airwaves. And in a dictatorship like East Germany was, it's not easy to sort of live your life. I remember it was in '81, you know, I was always listening to the radio when I used to do my homework as a kid. It was the first single of a band called The Smiths, Hand in Glove, and I was just like, wow, that's something totally different. I love it, I love it, I love it. You know, there are few clubs in the world that sort of, you know, became cathedrals of electronic music. There's the Warehouse in Chicago, Gatecrusher in Sheffield. E-Work was the place in Berlin for electronic music. This is where it all started for me. It is a very friendly environment, these clubs, and you know, I think one of the reasons is because people actually go there for the music, first of all, and therefore all the friction between people is not happening. You know, Berlin provides the freedom to live your individual lifestyle and do what you want to do.